Держи, держи.
We have a great article by Forbes and David Axe here about the failed Russian offensive in the Kharkiv region and how Russia's Victory Day offensive is turning into a bloodbath for Russian troops. Russia's Victory Day offensive across Ukraine's northern border with Russia may have aimed to capture a wide, deep swathe of territory to bring heavy artillery closer to the city of Kharkiv, 25 miles to the south. More ambitiously, Russian commanders may have hoped to march on Kharkiv itself. Neither happened. Within a couple of weeks of the offensive kicking off on May 9th, the day Russia celebrates its defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II, the force of 30,000 or so Russian troops got bogged down in the town of Vovchansk, just a few miles south of the border. And now the defenders of Vovchansk, including some or part of several Ukrainian mechanized Marine and Airborne brigades, have reportedly defeated an elite Russian Airborne brigade. According to a well-regarded Ukrainian correspondent who writes under the pseudonym Nikolaev Vanek, the 83rd Airborne Brigade has retreated from Vovchansk after a costly 3-week deployment. The entire 83rd Airborne Brigade is urgently withdrawn to the rear to restore combat capability, Vanek wrote. There are too many casualties, they can't fight, there are too many 500s. In Russian military parlance, a Code 500 is a soldier who refuses to fight. If confirmed, it's a stinging loss for the new Russian northern grouping of forces, which includes around 7 regiments and brigades. And Russian losses in Vovchansk could get a lot worse, as the survivors of an entire battalion, that's hundreds of troops, have been trapped in a chemical plant in central Vovchansk for 2 weeks. The trapped soldiers might not last much longer. The Ukrainian Air Force has been lobbing precision glide bombs at the chemical plant, gradually reducing it to rubble. The 83rd Airborne Brigade is, or was, an elite force, one of a dozen or so brigade-sized formations in the 40,000-person pre-war Airborne Corps. As recently as 2019, the brigade practiced parachuting into combat with their lightweight armored vehicles. In Ukraine, the 83rd Airborne Brigade ditched its parachutes and fought as a mechanized force in its tracked BMD and wheeled BTR vehicles, redeploying hundreds of miles at a time to respond to Ukrainian attacks and opportunities for Russian attacks. The brigade fought in the south in 2023 and this spring took part in the Russian siege of the eastern town of Chasiv Yar. As the Victory Day offensive ground to a halt in Vovchansk, Russian commanders ordered the 83rd Airborne Brigade to head north and get the northern grouping of forces moving again. The 1st 83rd Airborne Brigade paratroopers appeared along the front line in Vovchansk before June 12th. On or around June 16th, the Russian northern grouping of forces used 17 paratroopers from the 83rd Brigade, recalled a Ukrainian drone operator with the call sign Kriegsforscher. The Ukrainian 82nd Air Assault Brigade targeted the Russian paratroopers with mortars, killing 4 and wounding 10, according to Kriegsforscher. It was a disastrous start for the 83rd Airborne Brigade in Vovchansk. Incredibly, the brigade doubled down. Firstly, they deployed 1 assault battalion from the 83rd Brigade, Kriegsforscher noted. It suffered losses, and they deployed the rest of the brigade. Conditions were brutal for the Russian paratroopers. "We can't take it anymore," a paratrooper reportedly named Oleg Vesnin moaned in a video he recorded on his phone around June 12th. 3 days without food and water. No support. I don't know what to do next. 2 of his fellow troopers lay wounded, if not dead, behind him. 2 weeks later, the 83rd Airborne Brigade had suffered so many losses among its approximately 2,000 pre-war personnel, including troopers who allegedly refused to fight, that it was no longer capable of major combat, if Vanek's reporting is accurate. The unit had no choice but to withdraw from the battlefield. "Bye-bye," Vanek quipped. He wrote that he expected a similar fate for whichever Russian unit replaces the 83rd Airborne Brigade in a battle that is rapidly becoming a trap for Russian infantry, concludes David Axe in his article for Forbes. The link of the whole article is in the description. We failed with drones, we failed with communications, we failed with counter-battery, uniforms, we also failed in tactical reconnaissance. This looks like an archive video from the earlier days of the special military operation. This is how Kyiv in 3 days went.
У меня один вопрос. Скажите, пожалуйста, по вашему мнению, какие проблемы вооруженных сил вскрыла специальная военная операция на Украине?
Начинаем сначала, Миша, пальцы загибаю. С беспилотниками вначале провалились, а ты продолжи. Со связью провалились.
С беспилотниками провалились. С контрбатареей борьбой провалились.
С обмундированием провалились, да?
Ой, не говори. Они вообще там как партизаны за свой счет одеваются.
Да.
С транспортом, я бы сказал, что тоже провалились.
Еще с войсковой разведкой провалились. Выбросили десант на неподготовленную в Гостомеле площадку. Их от пуза положили, да?
Russia has lost more than 30 military aircraft since the beginning of the year. Specifically, the aircraft struck include 9 Su-25s, 1 Su-57, 2 MiG-31s, about 13 Su-34s, 1 Su-35, 1 Su-35s, 2 A-50 aircraft, 1 Il-22 M11, 1 Tu-22 M3. Stratcom of the Ukrainian Armed Forces published a map of the hit Russian aircraft for the first 6 months of 2024. The Ukrainian Armed Forces continues to effectively destroy Russian combat aircraft, including with the use of Western weapons. The number of aircraft, their models and modifications, and the locations of the hit are shown tentatively, Stratcom said. Some of the aircraft were hit, but might have returned to airfields for long-term repairs. In addition, in some cases, the models of the aircraft destroyed could not be reliably identified. The information will be updated and supplemented. Our embassies, our consulates are literally flooded with requests for visas, residence permits, or assistance in relocation. Spokesperson for Russian Foreign Affairs Ministry, Zakharova. She said that people want to move to Russia to preserve themselves as representatives and bearers of traditional values, and that a huge number of people under the oppression of liberal democracies are trying to resist it. Dear followers, have you noticed any floods of people wishing to move to Russia from the oppression of liberal democracies?
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.